Greetings everybody, Heath and Ken with Hack Lab. Welcome back to the channel, and to our new visitors, please subscribe. Today we're doing our first maintenance project on the Excursion, and we are installing fuel filters and installing the Bluespring kit. So Ken will take you through the parts list and we'll get going.
Alright, this is the fuel filter kit from Ford. Part number is FD4616. Comes with 2 fuel filters in it. This one is for the HFCM, the horizontal fuel conditioning module. Has a small O-ring on the bottom. There's also an O-ring kit in here. Part number on the O-ring kit, 33347.
Yep.
And the part number printed on the filter, 010420. So this should be the water separation filter, I believe. This smaller filter is for actual particles on the top, and part number on that, 010220. Both made in USA, should be good stuff. Now, this is the Bluespring kit. I got this off Amazon from a regular vendor. This is not the original Ford part. This is not the Ford kit. This is an aftermarket kit. I chose to get the one without the housing because I've seen a lot of people had problems with the aftermarket cast housings. So I decided I'd reuse my original housing, get this cheaper kit. It's less than half the price of the Ford parts, but I'm not sure if the quality is going to be like. I personally am willing to take the chance. I'm not going to drive the truck hard, and if I find that it doesn't feel right, this isn't my daily driver, so I can park it until I get the right parts. If this is your daily driver, spend the 70-ish and get the original Ford stuff would be my opinion. This kit was less than 20, I believe, or around 20. It comes with everything that is important to change. The seal especially is going to be changed. Right now I don't have a leak, but that'll make sure I don't have a leak in the future. This Bluespring controls the injection pressure. Not the injection pressure, the feed pressure to the injectors. So originally I believe they had a lower pressure of 40s or 50s maybe PSI, and this should bump it up to high 60s, which should keep the injectors fed properly, which was the main problem. They weren't getting enough fuel. So this is what Ford recommends you do, is get this Bluespring kit. Should be a stiffer spring. We'll compare this spring to the old spring when we take it out. Should have a slightly longer length maybe. We'll see. We don't need all these parts, but some of them are for the older housings that had, I believe, a seat and a valve or something in there. I can't remember what the difference was, but we don't need all these parts. That's it. I'm gonna go take it apart. I've never done it before, so we're going to kind of cut to the different segments of things you have to take off and show you how to take them off.
Clip on the bottom or no?
I mean, logic would say there is, but I didn't see one. So the trick to getting the air filter unit out is, if you look in here, those 2 tabs there, those 2 holes on this piece itself.
Yeah, I think I got them.
Alright, so this front piece has 2 kind of tabs that stick into those holes. So I had to lift this up and then reach in the side with my hand and pull the bottom forward, which it has enough space. That detaches it from the filter unit itself, and now it should be able to pull out. It looks like there's a tab or something on this too, on the back. Yep. So the back has the same tab system, where you have to lift up the housing while the filter is down and then reach in with a hand and move it out of the way so it can unhook from these. Decent-ish looking filter.
Yeah.
Quite an element though, huh? The air filter housing can be seen down here.
Alright,
and
stay put.
It's just held in with that flare, so we're going to pull it out, get space to get the clamp off this top pipe. That's the clamp we need to get off.
Alright.
And this one long pipe up to here. Goes right here. So we should be able to fish it out from under this bracket. Fight this off, just wiggle it. Try not to put too much side load on this so it doesn't crack. It's pretty thin. Down here, the same thing, wiggle it. Again, try not to put too much side load on it. We're dealing with a plastic neck on the intercooler.
Alright.
And it's a 10mm on the clamps. And we fish it. I assume it would be best to take off this little hose here, go into the degas bottle. Like he had boosters. Oh, another thing is, there is some oil in there. Not a ton, but just take note of the fact there's gonna be some oil in there. I'm assuming it sucks in blow-by from somewhere. Don't really know, but what we are looking to get at is right here. So this housing with these 4 Torx bolts on it and this metal line, and this was actually changed, it looks like, or somebody got into it at some point, because this little zip tie trick right here is meant so that when you undo this nut and you let it fall back, it doesn't fall all the way down there. So the zip tie holds it up here. So looks like somebody went in here at some point. Maybe the Bluespring's already in there, I don't know, but the condition of the housing shows that it wasn't touched in a while. So we'll see what's in there. If it's the Bluespring, I'll probably compare it to the one I have and make sure that it feels just as stiff if I can figure that out from feeling it. Regardless, it's time to change the fuel filter, so I'm doing that anyway. Which I didn't have to take this pipe off to do. The fuel filter is right up here. But figured I'd check it.
Alright.
Found the 13/16 fits on it really snugly. We also have a 21. We don't have 20, but 21 fits a little more loose. So I'm not sure if it'd be a 20 or not, but 13/16 feels pretty nice. So I'm just gonna shove this towel down there to catch whatever diesel spills, because I don't want it getting too much over that coolant hose and swelling it. And let's crack it free. Now this is a flat ceiling face, and on the other side of that is an orange O-ring. So we have to change that O-ring, or we should change that O-ring. It's not leaking now, but if we don't change it, it might be leaking. The Torx bolts are a T27. So we'll get those out, and then we'll get back to the video when they're off. So I wanted to make sure that I show you the easiest way to get at this bottom bolt is just to push down on the coolant hose. I mean, it's kind of hot right now because I just drove it, but just push down on that and you got enough space to fit in there and get it out. That's the difficult one to reach. What we do have is 3 out of 4 of them are really good coming out. This one looks like it's going to give us hell. So we'll get back to you either when it's broken or when it's out. Alright, so I got this top left one here is being extremely stubborn coming out. So sprayed some penetrating oil on it and I'm just wiggling it around. And hopefully we get it out and not break it. But it's being really difficult, which is funny because it's clearly turning. And you can see the distance increase when I unscrew it, so it's unscrewing. Everything else is fine. This one just has a tight spot, and it may or may not break. So I lost patience, powered through it. It's really tight, but it's coming out. If it breaks on camera. It seems like it's going weird. I'm not sure what was up with that. It wasn't overly tight to crack free, it just had a really tight spot. So yeah, if you get that, be careful. And maybe don't plan to do this unless you can plan for it to be down for a day or two after. And so we're on the last bolt here. Now it's going to want to spring out on the bottom because that's where the spring is. So if you can get them free by hand, just push it in and get them free. And be careful, nothing falls out. That spring sits in there, in that little pocket. So, we had a little bit of diesel leaking out. We're going to have a lot more when this little plunger comes out.
You want to get another rag ready?
No, as long as it drips down, it should be alright. We'll wash it after. But that's going to be everything coming out of the fuel filter. What we have here is not a Bluespring. Unless it was blue at one point and got washed off, but I don't know if that happens or not with the coating. Make sure when you're putting it together you do it as clean as you can. The worst thing is getting grit in the fuel system. So we're just looking it over, not wiping it for any reason other than I want to see how it looks. A little rub mark there from some type of friction. Maybe they put it in at an angle, or maybe it's just wear. The seal is pretty deformed. Yeah, we'll pull out the new parts and see how they compare. I got pretty clean fingers, grit free. Hate these bags. So here's our plunger. I don't know if they come in different variations, but it's probably worth a comparison before I put them in. I don't know if this is OEM or not, or aftermarket, but it seems to have some kind of coating on it. It's a little dull of a finish. Maybe some type of anti-friction, anti-stick coating. I don't really know. The finish quality on that surface there is a little better on the deburr. Not a huge difference. Overall, I'd say the one that came out looks a little bit cleaner looking. And this is the spring versus the spring.
Oh shit.
So should have higher injection pressures anyway. There is a mod where you can put a BB in there, a 177 dB, 0.177 dB, and this will give it a little more pressure. As you can see, if you were to put a BB, it would probably just be like one more coil higher. So it still wouldn't be the official Bluespring length, unless this isn't the official length and this is just however they made it work, whatever company made it. But we're going to use that, use their plunger, put it in there, and move on our way. That little white plastic thing, I believe its official name is the orifice. It's just a hole pretty much. There's a hole, but it's a little plastic piece. We have the new one here, actually. We'll take a look at the new one, show you what it looks like. Different color, different material, but there's a seal on it. There's a seal on it, and that's it. So, if you are not changing the fuel filter, be very careful getting that out because it's known to break in there. And then you got to pull off the fuel filter cap and push it out. We're going to try and pick it out, even though we're changing the filter, just to see if we can get it done without breaking it. There it goes. So, it came out pretty easy for us. I just kind of grabbed it at the bottom with the pick, sitting like that. Just kind of hooked it, pulled it out a little bit, and it came right up. That's the tiny O-ring, that black circle that was around the orifice. Be very careful pulling that out so you don't score the sealing surface if it doesn't come out with the actual plastic piece. Had a little bit of resistance, but it popped out. So we don't need those anymore. So all we're going to do is wipe it up, make sure it's clean, make sure all that extra grit doesn't get in the hole when we do wipe it up. And we'll get back to the video when we're closing up. O-ring already on it, a little bit of diesel on it just to help it slide in. It doesn't feel very positive when I put it in. I did put it in a second ago, so it doesn't feel super positive, but it sits flat. And I assume the seal will deform and make it feel nice. When I wiped the sealing surface, I wiped it very carefully towards the outside so nothing was to go in there. Again, we don't want even the finest grit in there. What may be an OEM housing, I don't know. I would assume so since it was never Bluespringed. So, again, we're going to wipe it outwards. I don't really care to clean it up spotless right now. Ideally it should go in the parts washer and get cleaned spotless, but it's a late night job.
Now you're using your diesel soaked wet rag to wipe it up?
Yeah. Just because the dirt kind of sticks to the diesel rag. So instead of it being loose dirt flying everywhere, it just sticks nicely to a wet towel. And I'm using the non-gritty side. One side is really gritty. It's probably time to retire this though. Pick this out. Again, be careful not to score the inside surface. We just want to get a little bite on it. Pull it up. It's very stiff. It's an old seal. Alright. So, there it is. It's almost like plastic. Just making sure the seal surface is clean. So, new seal fits in there pretty good. Seen some complaints about aftermarket kits having really bad seals, like not getting retained in there by the little tabs, like being too thin. This one seems to be pretty good. If it does work out, I'll put a link to it in the description, the kit that I chose to buy. I guess even if it doesn't work out, I'll put a link. I believe it's going to be green. Yep, black is too big, green looks like the right one. I think there's another seal in here, that's what one of these would be for, if we were to take that off, but I don't have to get in there, so I'm not going to mess with it. There's not a terrible risk of damaging this metal sealing surface because it looks like it's stainless steel. But still, don't go crazy on it. Probably put some diesel on that if you can. I don't have any diesel lying around, but it's a pretty flat seal, so it probably doesn't need it. So, just be careful not to drop it. Alright, so we're going to aim to get the end of the spring into that little divot right there. So we're going to push down. See, just like that. Get it lined up in there and then put it on. I'm going to get some of the bolts ready so I can kind of half thread them in when I'm close enough. Alright, I know a lot of people are big fans of torque specs, but this is too small for me to do anything with torque specs. So, just put a finger on it, and as soon as it feels like it's getting tight, I wouldn't go more than that. It's really thin aluminum. I mean, for everybody that's going to be different pressure though, but that's the best advice I can give without torque specs. Finger on it, feels like it's getting tight, just stop there. And we can see it's sealed, there's no gap in there. So, you said the green seal is the one. Again, make sure your fingers are clean of debris. Ideally, a little bit of wet would be nice. So when it does deform, it has some lubrication and it doesn't just bite and rip itself to pieces. Alright, just make sure that's in there flush. So that green seal, that's the one I just put in. This is a back shot. Just make sure it's in there flush before you tighten down. Again, just a quick wipe to make sure we're clean. If it doesn't go on smooth, don't use the wrench. Get it on there by hand. Again, it's an O-ring seal, doesn't have to be crazy tight. And that's that, that's the Bluespring kit. So since we're here, we're going to do the fuel filter. And word on the street is, using this square drive is the worst thing you can do, and using a socket is the best thing you can do. So I'm going to use a square drive and see how it goes.
Oh, with a tool? Alright, tough guy.
I'll break it free by hand. Oh yeah, the square drive doesn't work nice. Everyone was right. So what happens is it seems to deform the nut from the inside. I don't know if you can make that out, but it looks like it wants to split the nut actually right there.
Alright, hold on.
Let me get some light on it, and this is why you don't use this. 'Cause take a look at that crack forming.
Alright, yep, got it.
There's a crack right there. So you might have a leaking fuel filter cap, if it cracked all the way through, which is a common problem.
Alright. Now, Ken, look at the camera and acknowledge that the people who came before you were right.
The people that came before me were right.
Yep.
Alright. So this fits beautifully over that. Use a 6-sided socket, because as you can see it's a very weak drive. Still gonna use the tool. You can curse me in the comments. Should have had my rag there, but it didn't drip on the pipe hose. Again, be careful getting debris. Well, not getting debris in there. Could take a shot of in the bowl. Looks kind of clean. Right? Or am I crazy?
No, you're right.
Any debris?
Not that I can see.
Alright. And that's how clean we like to keep diesel. Alright, so we'll cut open that Ford O-ring kit and see what's in there.
Now, can you reuse that cap, or you have to run it and see?
I'm gonna reuse it, and I'll let you know if it's leaking. My crack didn't go too far below the drive itself, and it looks as robust as a plastic cap can look inside. I don't really see anything that developed through it, but we'll figure out when pressure hits it. Show all the corners. It's in one of these corners, but it looks pretty good on the inside. It may not leak, but take my word and everyone else's word for it. Do not use a square drive.
Yep. Sorry, y'all. The night creatures are out.
And they love our faces. Set that aside. I guess there's nothing in here that applies to this filter. Maybe the housing seal. Looks like an OEM Ford, I guess. Judging from the numbers in the Made in USA, looks just like the original. Match. I don't know what that is, but maybe it's grease. Supposed to use petroleum jelly, I believe, when you're putting this on. Also, another thing that people seem to do is put the O-ring on this lip right here, which is the finishing of the threads, and then for some reason they have a leak. So make sure you get it on the last groove. Alright, so not sure which way you're supposed to put it. Okay, let's say that way. Should hit it with the impact rate. Don't need to go too tight. As long as it's bottomed out, the O-ring's doing its job. And that should be all the fuel stuff on the top.
Alright, so Ken already rassled this thing in. You just got to get it over that lip in there. That's it. A little bit of power.
And this is the same thing, just shove it in. It'll get over that flared lip. Just make sure you're getting into the hole.
Alright. I don't have the angle, so we'll be back.
Is that the right way? Yeah.
What's the tip to getting it in?
Just wrestle those fingers in. I did back first. Just gotta kind of tilt it in till the fingers get into their holes. Alright, so we did the Bluespring, we did the fuel filter on the top. We're not going to do the HFCM filter tonight, it's just getting a little too late. But I really want to see how the Bluespring changed it, so we're going to just do the startup of that, a little drive around, and we'll give you guys our reaction. So for the startup, it's going to take a little bit of time to build fuel pressure. I'm going to turn the keys, cycle it maybe 2 or 3 times, wait for a couple seconds, and then I'll start it. It should be the same process when we're doing the lower fuel filter. It's going to take a little bit of time to prime the system. So you'll see the priming of it and about how long it takes, how it struggles to start if it does struggle. And most importantly, we just want to see what the Bluespring actually does, if it makes any good changes. So I'm going to go do that. Also keep an eye for that leak. The leak on the cap is cracked. So that's why you guys are up there looking at it.
That's your reactions on startup?
Very smooth. Can't even feel it. Alright, so I've been driving it for about 300 miles since I got it a couple days ago. And I can tell you right now the idle, it's a lot quieter. It's idling really smooth. Very little vibration, and it's kind of like a deeper tone to the idle. It's not quite as rattly, if that makes sense. Before it was kind of rattly, and now it just sounds like a deep humming. So I'm gonna say that's pretty significant in terms of change. I haven't even driven it yet, so we're gonna go take it down the street and see what it drives like. That very beginning of stepping on the gas, it's very linear now. That just first 25% is kind of like a dead spot, and now that very first little bit of it, it's predictable. It moves. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a refined pedal feel at this point. It's not so choppy. That's all it's worth.
That never disappoints.
Well, I like it. I like this kit. I like the price. Put it in the description.
How does this shit just smoothly pull, yo? It's so nice. Alright everybody, it is the next day. As you guys know, we already changed the fuel filter at the top of the engine. Got footage of that, so now it's time for the high
horizontal fuel conditioning module.
Yeah, that's all him. So we're gonna go ahead and get that changed. So we're gonna pan over to what's going on under the Excursion.
Alright, so we're under the Excursion here. We're under the driver's side door right now. In the frame rail here is the horizontal fuel conditioning module.
This is she right there.
And I have a four-wheel drive Excursion, so there's a drive shaft right in front of it for the front diff. So this is our drain plug. Mine looks pretty well molested. It's a 6mm. We'll see if it actually comes out or not. If you're wondering why my plug looks like it's half out on what I assume is a sensor to tell me there's water in my fuel, that's how I found it. So it's full of dirt. Didn't plug in all the way. I'm probably gonna have to clean it and get it plugged in. But on the back end of that module is the filter we're looking to change. Don't know what size socket it is. We'll figure that out. But let's see. If we get this drain plug out, then we're good. If we don't get it out, then the whole module is going to get replaced, or that cover piece with all the ins and outs. I don't really know what it is, but we'll get at it and see what happens. This video might end short if it strips. So I do have a small bowl ready to catch some diesel because it's supposed to come out from there.
And I'm in a real vulnerable position, so
looks like we're lucky and broke free real easy. Something doesn't look right about it. Sorry, I'm blocking the light. Huh. That looks like water and rust. Oh shit.
You didn't drink any, did you?
No, I didn't. My drain plug, guys, is broken.
Ah, shucks.
So what that means is this whole cover is going to get replaced. Actually, I might have to look in there because it doesn't feel like the broken piece is in there. But yeah, it's a good thing we're doing this. If you get a shot of the rust in this bowl, it's pretty gross.
Oh, look at that.
So that is all water.
Come down a little bit.
Oh, now it's dripping on my face. Nice.
Sorry for the awkward angles, guys.
I can actually tighten it.
Can you?
Yeah, and the O-ring will keep it sealed. So what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and change the filter. I did the drain. That's going to definitely have to get changed, this whole outside housing, because in there feels like the broken piece is in there. So I'm just going to end up changing this at some point. We'll do it on camera. But for now, let's just get at the filter and it'll be back on the road. Let's see, they put another square drive for us to use?
No, it's a hex, it's a hex.
I would have tried the square drive.
Oh boy.
Alright, let's get a wrench on it and see.
All
Really
right,
not
back.
good space. Alright, we're at a 36mm socket here. Just enough space.
How's that gonna use? Better. That's good. Let's go. Y'all do this. You're gonna need to take breaks in between. Or get a slightly shorter socket. And then it should be a lot easier. You should just have to overcome the O-ring and it should get easy.
Again, using the diesel all over our bodies. Alright, well, as you can see, we went through hell just to get this done. But we'll give you a full summary once we're comfortable. Alright guys, I'm back under here again. Ken's gonna start it. I'm gonna see if that drain plug is I'm gonna take a look and see if that drain plug is leaking or not. And I'll also see if the horizontal filter, if that seal around it is actually sealing. So let's take a look. Whenever you're ready. I don't see any drips. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and end the video right here. This video has already been crazy long, but it's a lot of good information. I think Ken gave you guys plenty of good information in terms of hands-on how to get this thing done. Overall, I don't think it was that bad of a job, with the exception of the horizontal filter. Ask my shiny arm, and Ken, yeah,
We're covered.
yeah. So aside from that, the job was pretty easy. I'm trying to think of any tips that we could leave them with.
Don't use the square drive on the top filter.
Yeah, because he thought he knew better. What else? I think that's it. So if you guys like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments, leave them down below. I don't know. We don't know what's coming up next. You know, we'll get to the drawing board, what content we want to bring to you next. But we're definitely going to dive into more of a project, or we're looking to dive into which project we're going to get into next and start an actual build series. So be on the lookout for that. And stay tuned. Like, comment, subscribe.
Alright, Heath, you want to tell them the secret to getting the diesel smell off?
Supposedly, Head and Shoulders, once you soak yourself, you just lather your arm in it, rinse it off. Good as new, diesel smell gone. I don't know what it is. I don't know if any of you chemists out there could let us know what chemicals in Head and Shoulders gets us nice and clean, but this is the diesel formula right here. And no, this is not sponsored. But Head and Shoulders, holla at us if you want.